Hi, this is JNM. I'm working on an add-on for exporting objects from Blender 2.8 in a batch operation. Each object is exported as FBX file and the pivot point is set to the center, what is needed when you import the objects into Unreal Engine. I created this Blender 2.8 project with two simple objects. One is animated and rigged, and now I'm going to export these objects as FBX files using my add-on called Batex. You find the add-on in a panel here in the sidebar. The panel is called here Batex. I think I have to rename this to Batex, and here can define to which folder you're going to export the objects. So which objects are exported? Well, these are just the selected ones. This is my workflow. I select objects and then I want to press just one button and export these to a defined folder. In the status bar you can see that the export is finished, and now I can press a button, open export folder, and I can see my FBX files that are exported. And this makes life pretty easy. Now I can open the game engine of my choice. I open here Unreal Engine, and then I can drag the FBX files directly into the project. Okay, so I start with the cube FBX, which is just a simple mesh. And then you can see in Unreal Engine the FBX import options dialog pops up. Skeletal mesh is unchecked. Then I press import and here is my cube and the imported material. Okay, now I can drag this object, the cube, into the scene. And have a look at this. This is important. The pivot point is correct. In Blender, the object hasn't been located at the center. And when I do the default FBX export and then import it into Unreal Engine, the pivot point is just wrong. Okay, and now I drag in the skeletal mesh. You can see that it is checked here in the import settings. I also keep the import animations checked, and then I press import, so you don't have to change anything. And the object, the skeleton and the animation is imported, and if you like you can drag the animation into the scene. Okay, for this object I'm using the same material. You can drag it onto the object. Then I wait till the shaders are compiled, and after that I rebuild the lighting. I speed this process up a bit and then I start the game, and you can see the objects and the imported animation. So this is a nice little helper for me for exporting objects from Blender to Unreal Engine. I know that there are add-ons that have many more features, but for me it's just, this is my workflow, and if I need more features I will add these step by step to the add-on. Alright, here is my GitHub with the free add-on Batex. You can download it by using here this green button and install it like any other add-on. Or if you like, you can clone the repository and add the features that you need. Okay, I'm pretty sure you want to see the code, right? So let's jump here to the Python code and see how this is implemented. This is the init file with the name and the description. It is a version 0.3, very early stage of development. You find it in the Batex panel. The category is import export, and for the properties I defined scene properties so that they are stored to the blend file. This was important for me because when I have a project then the export folder should be related to this project. I have three classes that I have to register: the panel, a main operator and an operator for opening the folder to which I exported the files. And the main operator does the export logic. So let's have a look at this. It is named BaxOT operator, and it doesn't have much code because I wrapped this in a Batex export class with a method doExport. And in this class the magic happens, so let's go to this class. In the init method I store the properties of the scene to member variables. Here the selected objects, the folder to which I want to export, and the context. Also if I want to center the objects before I export them, and this is done in the method doCenter. Here I check if I want to center the object, then I get the current location of the object and then set it to the center. The old location I return, or I return none if no center transform is executed. The helper methods are very simple here. For example, this one for getting the object's location, it's a copy of the location. And setting the location is also just an assignment of a three-dimensional tuple. Okay, but here is the do export method. First I set the mode to object mode, and then I loop through all the objects that I want to export. First I deselect all available objects because I want to export just one object per file that I'm going to select after that. Then I call the doCenter method for this object and store the old position. After that I get the children of this object and select them because I want to export these as well. An example is our animated object that has children, which is the mesh, the root object is the armature, and then I call the internal function that exports the object as fbx. I know that there are many more options that you can set here, but for this very early first version, I keep it as simple as possible. I'm exporting the selection only to an absolute file path, and in the next versions I'm going to expose more properties. If you have special wishes for features, let me know or add these to the issues on my GitHub. Okay, after the export I check if there is an old position. This means the object has been centered, and then I reset the location to the original location. Okay, what else do we have? We have the panel to display the properties like the folder or the center transform and the buttons. This is very straightforward. I derive from the panel class, then I have a draw method in which I define the layout. I have a label, export folder, then the scene property export folder, which opens a directory dialog because this scene property is of type dir_path. Then the center transform property, which is of type bool, so a checkbox will be displayed. And finally the operators that will be displayed as buttons. The first one is the export and the second one will open the export folder. Perhaps this is also interesting for you, how to open a folder in a file browser. This is also done by using an operator, and in the execute method I just call path open. This is a built-in function of Blender, so it should work on any OS. I tested it on Windows, but I think it should work for Linux and Mac as well. Okay guys, that's it for this add-on so far. If you have any feature wishes or ideas, then add these to the comments or add an issue to my GitHub. If you like my channel guys, then don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned. You can support me on my Patreon page. Thanks for this, thanks for watching, and I see you on JNM.